slow news day here in the UK, just the illusion falling apart before our very eyes. Those of you that are familiar with ideas like simulacra and simulacrum will know that beneath apparent reality, there is a deeper reality bubbling away. Deleuze, the French postmodernist philosopher, says it's like a kettle boiling. The water will become steam. The suppressed reality will emerge. And today, when you sort of see the resignation of Liz Truss, I think 6 weeks after she became Prime Minister, we're forced to confront that potentially we live at a time when politicians have become disposable.
I came into office at a time of great economic and international instability. Families and businesses were worried about how to pay their bills.
This first bit is an excuse, isn't it? This is basically, this ain't my fault. It was broke when I got here. Oh, who's broke this economy? It's broke when I got here. We came in a time of instability. She's about to start bringing Putin up. Families and businesses were fucked.
Those things, exactly your point. Those things are still going on. Like if I was there, I'd say, we came in when it was like this, and I've left when it's like this. But it's exactly the same.
In a short 6 weeks, I've actually made it a bit worse. Your political resignation shouldn't be you should offer a mea culpa, wouldn't you? I suppose what she should be saying, if this was normal life, and again, this is why if you don't know why Trump's successful, I would say in part it's his ability to communicate in a manner that seems like a normal person talking, even though he is evidently extraordinary. What this person could be saying is, look, I've only been Prime Minister 6 weeks. It seems ridiculous that I'm already here resigning. We had some ideas and we did get elected on that mandate, but the ideas, like the reduction of the top rate of tax, it's not worked. It's gone terribly, terribly wrong. I'm incredibly embarrassed. I'm sorry. But it doesn't sound like that, does it?
Also, that podium looks wonky as well.
They can't even get the podium to be straight. Look at our podium. Look at me. You get yourself a pulpit, you spray the bloody thing pink, and you resign with dignity, if that's what's required. Let's see where she goes now.
Putin's illegal war in Ukraine threatens the security of our whole continent.
Putin.
I mean, what's that got to do with any of this?
Bloody Putin. Like they're dragging him up for everything.
This is Putin's fault.
Yeah. Like,
he put this pulpit up earlier on.
I've said to Putin, make sure it's flush with the camera, so I at least look like I know I'm doing. I will not put it flush. So I am taking back something. I declare martial law on this podium.
I've annexed your pulpit.
Oh no, I can't even do this right.
And our country has been held back for too long by low economic growth. I was elected by the Conservative Party with a mandate to change this. We delivered on energy bills.
So proud of them energy bills, but what they've actually done is they're giving energy companies some taxpayer money. It's not like they've not gone, listen, you energy company, we ain't giving you no more money. We're taking back them energy companies. They're ours now. Now fuck off. It's not that, which is, I mean, swearing aside, you could actually do that. So we've been elected. Well, I suppose you probably want to get elected on that kind of mandate. For a brief while in this country, Jeremy Corbyn was leader of the Labour Party and proposed things like the renationalisation of energy companies, railways, free education and high taxation for wealthy corporations and super wealthy individuals. And recently, after he was booted out of office after sort of some pretty interesting manoeuvring by the establishment, he said, I don't think anything I was proposing was that weird. I mean, I think they're all quite good ideas. When are people going to accept that change might mean doing things different? We're going to change everything. This is like, because this is proper, this is chaos now. This is the revelation that even the pretense of order cannot be sustained. Real change won't be, but now we've got this guy. Look, he's got nice hair or something, won't it? It'll be, he's got nice hair. He's a different colour than normal or something. Or even more mad, we've got the last guy back again. Maybe he's changed. Right, well, there's definitely the other party of people that basically went to the same schools, had the same jobs, have the same interests, are funded in more or less the same way, because genuinely radical politics and genuinely radical ideas cannot be included within that system because the system's priority is self-preservation and it will only make minimal changes so that you have the appearance of transformation without actual transformation. An example from across the United States, we've covered it on our channel already. Biden says decriminalize cannabis. Biden does, we're going to release everyone from federal prison that's in jail for cannabis charges only. That's no one at all. Perfect. Gesture made, nothing done. You're always offered piecemeal facsimiles of change, never actual change. The system must preserve itself.
And we set out a vision for a low-tax, high-growth economy that would take advantage of the freedoms of Brexit. I recognise, though, given the situation, I cannot deliver the mandate on which I was elected by the Conservative Party. I have therefore spoken to His Majesty the King.
That seems weird. That's not right. His Majesty. So everything's changing. The Queen's
only just
dead.
met her.
The Queen's a bloke now. It's all falling apart. Nothing makes sense. We can't hold together this system. It's ridiculous, isn't it?
He was annoyed by the last time he met her when she gave the bloody hell you again.
Oh, God, oh, bloody hell, this bloody pen. You only just here last week. Now you're resigning. Oh, who is it now? This one, that one. I can't remember all your bloody names.
To notify him that I am resigning as leader of the Conservative Party.
So she does. She has to call him up.
Yeah.
But that can't be. Is that functional? Is it? There's anything? Can he say no?
Yeah, I think he can say no.
No way, I like you. You stay there. First I lose real mummy, now Prime Minister mummy, and I got married mummy. I didn't like glamorous mummy, sexy warrior mummy. She had to go. No way, no more mummies. You're staying put.
This morning I met the chairman of the 1922 committee, Sir Graham Brady. We've agreed that there will be a leadership election to be completed within the next week.
They might as well just have a conveyor belt, just have them in for a moment, balls up the economy a little bit, and then straight into whatever job you get at a fracking company.
This will ensure that we remain on a path to deliver our fiscal plans and maintain our country's economic stability and national security. I will remain as Prime Minister until a successor has been chosen. Thank you.
Oh, that's only another week. That she's like, I will endure the rest of the week. It's like a Craig David song. It's like Solomon Grundy, but it's in fact a period of leadership. I suppose when something this radical and this immediate takes place, there has to be a kind of reckoning, doesn't there? Are we ultimately just going to deliver another person into that position, another person that will ultimately stand in front of another podium in a matter of weeks or months or years after serving the financial interests of the groups that fund the Conservative Party rather than representing the interests of the people that they were elected to serve? Not going to be a pivotal and transitional moment, is it?
Thank you.
And I've even myself stood outside of that iconic front door, number 10 Downing Street, where Churchill has stood. When I was like briefly, in fact, it was when me and Gareth first started, our first iteration of this channel was called The Truss, where we just do daily comments on the news. Sometimes it was somewhat incendiary, and it was broadly undertaken from the perspective that mainstream politics was futile, and I was kind of escalated into a position of public prominence when I admitted that I'd never voted in my life because it was pointless. And I said, well, people that I know and grew up with, no one votes. They sort of consider it to be sort of a senseless, futile, phatic exercise. And regardless of who you vote for, you get the same sort of political and economic interests ultimately being represented. And in a sense, I got sort of mired in all sorts of arguments. And we, on our channel then, and hopefully on our channel now, decided instead to represent interests outside of Parliament, activist groups. And this was when I got involved with this campaign group to stop these flats getting closed down and taken over. And these women ran this campaign, and we amplified their campaign, shone a bit of a light on it. I became friends with these three women. And in this moment, a Channel 4 journalist was confronting me and sort of like, I can't remember exactly what he was saying, but he was sort of digging me out and being like sort of winding me up, even though really all I was doing was sort of helping like this community get their campaign more prominent. But eventually, after getting irritated by this journalist, I used one of the campaigners as a kind of human shield. Have a look at this.
David Cameron isn't. Lisa Russell Brown's actually standing up regardless of how big his house is and coming down and helping ordinary people.
Maybe it's the media. Well, that's what it was. He said, like, you've got a big house.
Yeah.
that was his attack. You've got a big house. You're not poor. And what I did is sort of dragged her over. And now it just turns into sort of the kind of bickering that would happen in a supermarket over the last roll on deodorant.
Let's see if David Cameron is prepared to do that.
No, you're turning. No, there's anyone sharp there because she was actually sticking up.
There is
for
a
me.
bit in a minute, well, in a couple of seconds, where you literally just let her get on with it. You're like,
hang on a minute.
She's better at this.
Wait a second, I could just let this person talk. She's going to do all the heavy lifting. At the moment, though, look at my eyes.
Yeah.
I'm going full Rasputin. He's irritated the old ego nexus.
David Cameron's prepared to come out of his big house and help us. He isn't, is he? But Russell Brand has, and thank God there is people like him who's prepared to step out and help people like us. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here today. We wouldn't have 300,000 signatures. We would have been kicked out and booted out of London.
Yeah,
so thank
snides
God.
like you, mate, undermine it. You're a snide. All right, let's do
go.
one.
What I did there is I got a little bit too cockney. I got sort of sucked into her cockney orbit for a moment.
You had a long time to think about what your final point was going to be, and then your final point was, you're a snide.
I remember. I still think it. I think it stands the test of time.
You're a snide.
Let's have a look at that geezer sort of saying like who's really emotional about this. Is just again sort of like some sort of British MP. And again, what I find interesting is that the emotion is surging to the forefront. People aren't even using correct political discourse anymore.
I'm sorry, it's very difficult to convey. You look just furious about this.
I am. I've had enough. I've had enough of talentless people putting their tick in the right box, not because it's in the national interest.
Like, he's had enough because of boxes and ticks and stuff.
Yeah.
So people can't afford to pay their heating bills.
Yeah.
People with jobs that are using food banks.
It's the real minutiae of government now, isn't it?
That's it. I can't be bothered. I don't. Look, they can't even get a podium to be on the right angle. I ticked a box earlier.
It was those little pens that you get in Argos.
Look at my hair gel. It's too adhesive. That's not my natural root lift. This isn't what I asked for at the hairdresser. The whole thing's falling apart. Look at the sort of Gothic architecture, the grandeur, the goddesses and that sort of adorn these buildings, and what takes place in their skullduggery, slipperiness, deceptiveness. I feel that we're living in a time where the illusion is fracturing. I truly believe this is a time where we have to look at alternative systems, real democracy, decentralized power, the empowerment of ordinary people to run their own communities.
And I know I speak for hundreds of backbenchers who right now are worrying for their constituents all the time, but now worrying about their own personal circumstances, because there is nothing as X as an ex-MP.
The old saying goes, there's nothing as X as an old ex-MP. You thought that was X? Well, guy WX, that's XX MPs. Yeah, that's
Don't sign off on that, like a phrase that no one's heard of.
And as we always say, red sky at night, new Prime Minister by the morrow. XXY, why did we try? Bloody old tick box, kick me in the ball bag. These are, what are you saying? I'm so angry that I'm making up catchphrases here on the news.